Winthrop is an education expert and director at the Center for Universal Education at Brookings. Rebecca, it is good to see you. Yet another challenge for educators. The last time I spoke with you and spent time with you was during COVID and the impact and challenge that posed to educators across the country. And here we have a whole new frontier of technological advancements, and specifically as it relates to AI. And just reading in this latest article in the New Yorker, I mean, you have professors who even are adjusting some of their assignments, not wanting to have AI really be the go-to for their students. And yet it's clear to them that some students, even in writing pieces about themselves or introductory stories, turn to AI too. This has become really like a prop for many young students quite quickly. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think you nailed it, and it's good to see you again, Bianna, that large AI companies are pushing on an open door. I have not seen a commercial tech product and rollout focus on students and education as much as generative AI. And we know that young college-age kids, 18 to 24, are the largest active weekly user of ChatGPT, for example. And the tech companies are this spring putting on a ream of sales. They're giving discounts to college students. They're all doing it. For exam season, come sign up. We'll give you 2 months free. Google's giving you a year's free for Gemini and lots of storage. So they're actively going after students. And what's happening is students are using it, and professors and educators are left scrambling. And everyone I talk to in the education world is trying to figure out, how do I adjust my teaching and learning so that kids can actually learn what they're supposed to do and build the skills they're supposed to build before they go out into the world of work.
So where do you draw the line between cheating using AI and using it as an aid the way, you know, many generations have now used the internet? And before, their parents said, oh, you have no idea, I had to go all the way to a library and do all the research myself. Where do you draw that line?
Well, I do see there's many motivated and engaged students using AI to help them study. For example, students say, I take all my notes from the semester, I plop them into generative AI, and I say, create a podcast, and I listen to the podcast 2 or 3 times, and then I'm ready to take my exam. That is a great use of generative AI. It is augmenting and helping young people learn material. But the line is when students start using AI to do the school work that they're assigned for them. So, for example, very common at the moment, writing an essay. Hey, write an essay about this topic. Students using generative AI to write their essay for them. They might put the prompt in, might say what the class is, might say what the readings are, and then they might even run it through an AI humanizer. There's a lot of these out there, which is supposed to make your essay seem more written by a human. So adding typos and making sure that your grammar isn't way out of bounds
in your own
for
voice.
Your age or in your own voice. So that's really where we start seeing kind of a cat and mouse between educators wanting young people to practice writing essays or to do assessments or do tests, and young people using it to basically cognitively offload the work. And that is a problem. That's a big problem. And education's gonna have to change.
Yeah, and here's what you've said in a recent interview. You said, in addition to regulating generative AI, so it isn't so massively in students and young people's hands without being designed for that purpose, I would say these are the 2 big things we need to do. There's also a big difference. We need to make a big distinction between AI supporting educators and doing what they're doing versus going direct to young people. What do you mean about that? Is this the argument that one day AI could replace teachers, human teachers as a whole?
That is something that people are looking at, but I would say that is a very, very bad route to take, mainly because we know young people need other human beings to learn and grow and to learn well. So I think there is a big difference between educators, teachers, professors using AI themselves to help come up with creative ways to teach. They can even assign students to use AI on a specific task and then share it back. And then sort of grade them on how well they're prompting AI and how well they're using the tool. That's one sort of creative way to bring AI into the classroom in a helpful way. So educators can use AI, but what big companies are doing is they're definitely they're going after educators, but they're going direct to students. And it's different for kids themselves to be sitting in a classroom, getting assignments, and then going and doing their assignments at home on ChatGPT or some other large language model.
We've seen the huge impact that automation has had over the years on the economy and on politics in general when it comes to impacting blue-collar jobs. And now the same concern has risen when it comes to at least entry-level white-collar jobs and students who are graduating from college and applying for jobs where it is very, very difficult for them to actually get hired. How much of a concern is this in your view?
In my view, this is a really big concern. If you think about the skills gap, we talk about the skills gap in education, which is what are the competencies, mindsets, and skills that young people are leaving education with, and what do they need in the workforce? And is it aligned? And we see that there's a big skills gap. Most of it has been over the last decades due to automation in the workforce. And this just adds a whole other level. If you think about, for example, entry-level jobs. I'm based here in Washington, D.C., as you know, Brianna. Congressional interns, entry-level jobs, working for a member of Congress. One of the things that these young people would do would be to, laboriously read through legislation and pull out key elements so staffers could analyze it and move forward. That can be done with AI now. So how is a young person going to be able to skip straight to the analysis of legislation without actually having the practice and know-how of what's in it to start with? So we are probably going to see, I'm going to predict over the next decade, higher education institutions moving a lot more into workforce preparedness to try to fill in that skills gap, and secondary education, certainly in the upper grades, really trying to move into workforce preparedness, because I think it's a really big concern over the next 5 years at least for thinking about the labor market for young people as they exit education.
Yeah, no doubt. And then there's also regulation. We've been talking about regulating social media companies now for many years. One could, I think, objectively say that that hasn't been extremely effective, and I would only imagine the same applies when it comes to regulating AI here. New frontiers all along, but Rebecca Winthrop, we are grateful to have you there to guide us through it. Really appreciate it.